Hello class, I'm Barbara Shew. I'll be your instructor for the next portion of this course. We'll be talking a little bit about plant disease epidemiology, which is, as Dr. Benson mentioned in the first lecture, is sort of the foundation for how we go about doing disease control. So we're going to talk about some principles of epidemiology, both to give you a foundation in how we control plant diseases and to understand a little bit about epidemiology itself. I am director of the Plant Disease and Insect Clinic here at NC State, and I'm also the extension specialist in charge of peanut diseases, and as well I conduct research on peanut diseases and their control. So probably in this class you're going to hear several examples of peanut diseases mentioned, and also I probably will pull on some examples of some of my favorite pathogens that cause peanut diseases as well. So you can be expecting to hear a little bit about peanuts as we go through the course, but I try to be inclusive and make sure we include good examples regardless of the crops they're on, even if they're not always on my very favorite, which is peanuts. So as you know, the lectures in this course, or as you'll be able to tell when you play the lectures in this course were recorded during a live classroom session of the class. And for the most part, we will follow the live classroom exactly. But there will be some exceptions to accommodate the difference between distance ed and live class. And one of the main things where that will be, where you will see that is in the assignment of a project. So about right around the time of exam 3, you will have a project due, and in the classroom section of the course we do this as a group project, or several groups work on projects, but for this class you will be doing your projects individually, and of course the expectations are a little bit different since you'll be working individually than as a group. So that is one change that we will be talking about in a couple lectures from now. There's also homework in this section of the course. There's actually homework throughout the course, but in this section of the course specifically, we do some homework and we actually do some problems, in other words, some math problems. So you'll need to have access to a calculator. You'll need to have access to a scientific calculator, one that can do logs and exponents and square roots and things like that. If you don't have a calculator like that, you probably actually do have one on your phone. You just have to find the right function to change it to scientific, or you can find several online. So you don't need to run out and buy a calculator. There's several ways that you can do calculations without having to own a separate calculator. We're also going to be doing some problems with Excel. So please let me know if you don't have access to Excel in one way or the other so that we can do a workaround for you. Most of the work you can actually do, I guess actually all the work you can do without Excel, but it will be much easier and much less laborious if you have Excel than if you don't. So anyway, let me know if you have any problems getting access to Excel, and we'll see what we can do about that. With both the homework and the project, there will be some assigned reading, and especially with the project, you will have to find a lot of that reading in the library. Some of it may be freely accessible online, but in many cases the reading will be, the access to the reading will be controlled by the journals where they're published, so you'll have to have access to the library. Enrollment in this class gives you access to the library. There's a link on the syllabus page to the library and its electronic resources. If you're accessing the library remotely, not on campus that is, you will have to log in order to get the resources, but they're all there. So anything that's available electronically from NC State's library is available to you. If there's something that you can't get, or there's something that's only in printed form, let me know. We can scan articles and things like that and send them to you if necessary. So there's going to be some assigned reading, and some of it is uploaded to the course website in PDF form, and in some cases it will be links which you access through the library. And a really valuable resource for understanding plant disease examples that we may give you is the American Phytopathological website. There is information about a lot of diseases there. So if we're talking about a disease that you're not familiar with, you can usually go to the APS website and find basic information about that disease. And typically, if I use a disease example, I will provide a link in the written summary for each lecture where you can go look up information about a disease. So there's also, for each lecture, almost every lecture anyway, there is a chapter in a book by Campbell and Madden. You'll see the actual name of the book on the course website. And those readings are all suggested. They're not required. Many students don't use that resource, but I really encourage you to at least flip through the chapters as we talk about them. I think that in many cases it will help you to read them or look at the figures. And the other thing that I think students often overlook is that a lot of the really classic disease examples and epidemiology examples can be found in Campbell and Madden. So especially when you're working on your projects, if you're not able to find some really simple and basic information about an epidemiology of a particular disease, it's possible and maybe even likely that you'll be able to find that information in Campbell and Madden. Some of the very well studied diseases, the information about their epidemiology is basically understood, so you won't find recent articles about them in the literature on Google because for instance, everybody pretty much knows what the epidemiology of late blight potato is like, and that's very well discussed and very thoroughly presented in textbooks as opposed to recent literature. So I've already told you and implied in various ways that we will be using some math in the first portion of the course. This often intimidates students, both classroom and DE students. Sometimes wonder what they've gotten into when we start talking a little bit about math in the first section of this course. But what we're going to do is it'll be math light. We're just going to talk about concepts and how they come from math, but we're not going to ask you to do any higher math. The only math you'll be asked to do is on some homework assignments, doing some basic calculations in high school algebra. We'll mention calculus, but you won't be responsible for doing any calculus problems. Also, I can tell you right now, there will be no problem solving, no pencil and paper, no calculators needed to do the exam. So you won't be responsible for doing any calculations on the exams. I do have some in the homework. And the reason for having it in the homework is to just get you comfortable and actually manipulate some of the things that we talk about and see that they actually do work, and it's not just a graph that I throw up on a slide. So anyway, don't worry about the math. Don't get intimidated. Hopefully you'll get through it fairly painlessly. I've had many students take this course over the years, and it's we always have a few who panic, but they always manage just fine in the end, so please don't worry about that. The only other thing I want to mention now is that I welcome your questions. Please ask questions about lecture materials, maybe about questions that are suggested to you by the lecture materials from your experiences. Questions with your projects, questions with your homework, please don't hesitate to ask me. Just drop me a line by email, and I'll try to get back to you as quickly as I can. Normally I'll reply within 24 hours. In the early part of the semester, from now until the end of September, I will be spending a lot of time in the field, so I may not always be able to stick to the 24-hour promise, but I'll try to as best I can. But I really love getting questions. It gives me a chance to think about things. Oftentimes students ask me a question that makes me think about the course material in a new light, so please don't hesitate to ask questions at any time, and I look forward to hearing from you. So even though we'll be at a distance, I hope that you'll take the opportunity to be interactive and let me know what you're thinking about the course material as we go along. All right, let's get going.